I didn't know a heart could break from something it never saw coming. I didn't know a person could feel so safe in someone's words while standing unknowingly on the edge of a cliff. And I definitely didn't know that the man I spent 3 months loving, trusting, dreaming with would turn out to be the last person on earth I should have fallen for. Because the day I learned who he really was, my whole world cracked open in one breath. He wasn't a stranger. He wasn't unlucky timing. He wasn't a mistake. He was my cousin's husband. It started so gently that it didn't even feel like the beginning of something dangerous. One boring evening, I joined a small online community, nothing unusual, just a place where people talked, joked, shared moments from their day. And then he appeared in my inbox like a soft knock on a quiet door. His message was simple, almost shy. "I like your way of speaking. You sound honest." I didn't think much of it. I laughed, replied politely, and went back to my day. But he came back the next day, and the next. And slowly, without realizing, his presence became something I waited for. He told me his name was Daniel. He said he lived in another city for work. He said he was single and rebuilding his life. There was something calming about him, a softness in his voice notes, a gentle way of understanding me without asking too many questions. It felt safe to say. Looking back, I realized that safety was the first warning sign. Real danger rarely arrives sounding dangerous. We talked every night. About everything, my fears, his dreams, my insecurities, his past. He made me feel seen in a way no one had done in years. He remembered the small things, how I liked my tea, the way I avoided phone calls when I was anxious, the sound of my laugh. He gave attention like it was sunlight and I was a plant dying without it. I didn't know those little gifts would become the very things that hurt the most later. 3 weeks in, he started calling me mine, and I didn't push him away. Because a part of me, lonely, tired, craving connection, wanted to believe him. Wanted to believe someone like him could choose me. He asked about my day with a sincerity that felt rare. He told me goodnight like it meant something. He said he wanted to meet soon, maybe spend a weekend somewhere quiet. I started planning my life around a man I didn't really know, and still, something felt slightly off. He never video called. Always said he was at work, or tired, or surrounded by people. He avoided sending clear photos, always blurry, always partial, always at strange angles. But his excuses were wrapped in tenderness, and tenderness is the most dangerous disguise a liar can wear. One evening, he disappeared for hours. I panicked, worried something happened. When he finally responded, he said, "I was with family." Sorry, I couldn't talk. I brushed it aside. Everyone has family. Everyone gets busy. I didn't know. Then that family meant something very different than what he made me believe. As the days passed, he became unpredictable. Sometimes overly loving, sometimes distant, sometimes emotional in ways I couldn't understand. He would say things like, "I wish life was simpler," or "Some truths are too painful." Back then, I thought he was talking about trauma. Now I know he was talking about guilt. The first real crack appeared in the most ordinary moment. He asked me what I was doing that weekend. I told him I might visit my cousin, my mom's sister's daughter. Her name is Sarah. We grew up together. We weren't extremely close anymore, but we always tried to meet once in a while. When I said her name, he paused, just for a second. But that 1 second felt like a shift, like a door inside him slammed shut. He replied too quickly, "Oh, nice. Family time is good." But the warmth in his voice was gone. The next day he was cold. The day after that he was distant. And my heart without knowing why, started preparing for a storm. Still, I didn't connect anything. How could I? The truth was impossible, so impossible that even imagining it would have felt insane. The day everything shattered began like any normal day. I visited Sarah. We sat in her living room, drank coffee, talked about life. She mentioned her husband but said he was away for work, some company trip. I had never seen him properly. They married during a time when I was busy with my own life. At one point, Sarah went to the kitchen to get snacks. Her phone rang on the table. I didn't touch it, but the screen lit up. A name popped up. A photo popped up. The world stopped. I froze. The man calling her. The face on her screen, the name at the top, I knew it. I knew it in a way that punched the breath out of my lungs. It was Daniel, the man I loved, the man I trusted. The man who told me he was single, the man who texted me all night. The man who wanted a future with me. The man who held my heart for 3 months was the husband of the woman making coffee in the kitchen. My chest went numb. My hands turned cold. My heart felt like it was dying inside my body. I couldn't move, couldn't think, couldn't breathe. It felt like every organ collapsed at once. Sarah came back smiling, unaware that her entire marriage and my entire reality had collided on her phone screen. I forced myself to act normal, forced myself to smile, forced myself to keep breathing. But something inside me broke so violently that I'm not sure it ever fully healed. The moment I left her house, I collapsed on my way home. Tears came like a flood. I couldn't stop. My legs felt weak. My throat burned. My mind screamed, how could he? How dare he? How many lies did he build around me, around her, around everyone? That night, he messaged me like nothing happened. Missed you today. Are you okay? I stared at the message, shaking. I typed only one sentence. How long have you been married? There was a long pause. Too long, painfully long. Then he replied, you weren't supposed to know like this. And that was the moment I realized the truth I never wanted to face. He didn't accidentally hurt me. He didn't accidentally lie. He didn't accidentally fall into my life. He was building two worlds with one heart, and both of us were living in different versions of the same lie. I stared at the message on my screen, my heart beating so loud it felt like the whole world could hear it. You weren't supposed to know like this. That single sentence twisted inside me until I couldn't tell if I was furious, heartbroken, or simply numb. How does a person even respond to that? What could I possibly say to a man who had built a whole universe of lies around me, then expected me to keep living in it blindly? My fingers trembled as I typed the next message. How long have you been married? I waited, feeling like I could hear the seconds dripping like ice water into my chest. When he finally replied, it was short. 4 years, 4 years. When I read those 2 words, something inside me shattered. In a slow, painful wail, like the ground beneath me cracked open but refused to let me fall. 4 years married, and he had spent 3 months calling me mine, planning weekends away, saying he wanted me to feel safe with him. I had loved a man who treated his vows like decorations, pretty, fragile, meaningless. I typed again. Why did you do this to me? To her, he replied, you don't understand my marriage. Things haven't been good for a long time. I closed my eyes, feeling tears heat my cheeks. Those were the same words married men tell themselves to justify their guilt. So you thought cheating would fix it? I wrote. His answer came quickly. You were different. You made me feel alive. Double quotes, alive. The word felt like poison in my mouth. I wasn't a person to him. I was an escape route. An emotional band-aid. A distraction from the life he didn't have the courage to fix. I didn't reply. I couldn't. I sat there, breathing heavily, trying to understand how someone could be so gentle with his words and so cruel with his choices. He kept messaging, "I'm sorry you found out this way. I wanted to tell you eventually. I didn't want to lose you." Every message made me feel like vomiting. Lose me. He never had the right to keep me. The next day I woke up with swollen eyes and a headache that made the world blur. I replayed everything, every message, every voice note, every promise, all the moments he asked me to trust him, all the times he said he was different, all the nights he made me feel chosen. But the truth was simple and brutal. I wasn't chosen. I was convenient. I was the extra space in his double life. I didn't block him immediately. Part of me needed answers, needed closure, needed to understand how someone could walk into my life so softly just to destroy it silently. So I asked him again, "Does she know about me?" "No," he replied, "and she doesn't need to." I slammed my phone on the bed, rage burning under my skin. His cowardice was unbelievable. A man who couldn't even face the consequences of his own betrayal. A man who wanted me hidden like a secret stain he could wash off anytime life got complicated. I asked, "Do you love her?" His answer was a long paragraph, full of confusion, excuses, half-truths. But the last sentence was the only real one. "I don't want to lose my marriage." And that's when I realized the cruelest part of this story. He didn't want me. He didn't want her. He wanted both. He wanted comfort from one and excitement from the other. He wanted love without responsibility, attention without accountability, affection without consequences. He wanted to be the center of two worlds and the hero of none. I told him, "You used me." He replied instantly, "No, it wasn't like that." But liars always say that. They never admit their intentions because then they would have to admit their character. Days passed, and I grew distant. Not because he deserved silence, but because I no longer had the strength to keep speaking to a man whose existence made my heart feel heavy. He noticed. "You're pulling away," he said. I stared at the message, feeling disgusted by his audacity. He acted like we were in a real relationship, like he had the right to feel abandoned by me. He didn't understand that I wasn't leaving him. I was saving myself. One evening, I saw a new post from Sarah, my cousin. Her smiling face appeared on my screen with a caption, "Counting the days until my husband comes back home." My chest tightened. The guilt wasn't mine to carry, yet it sat inside me like a stone. Because even though I didn't know, even though I was innocent, a part of me felt complicit. A part of me felt responsible for loving someone who belonged to someone I loved. That night, he called me. I didn't want to pick up, but curiosity, pain, and exhaustion made me answer. His voice was soft, trembling. "I miss you," he said. I didn't reply. "You can yell at me if it makes you feel better," he continued. I whispered, "I don't want to yell. I want to understand." He sighed heavily. "I didn't plan any of this. I just fell." I almost laughed. "You didn't fall. You chose silence, painful silence." Then he said something that chilled me to the bone. "I can't leave her, but I can't lose you either." That was the moment I realized I was dealing with a man who wanted two hearts to heal wounds he refused to face. He wanted loyalty from me while giving lies in return. He wanted devotion from me while giving promises to another woman he vowed to love forever. He wanted everything, and he gave nothing. I told him, "I can't do this anymore." His tone shifted sharply. "So you're leaving like everyone else?" Everyone else. Another clue. Another repetition. Another woman who must have gone through what I just went through. It made me wonder how many 3-month loves did this man have? How many lies did he tell? How many hearts did he collect like trophies he never cared to keep? I breathed deeply and said, I'm leaving because you should have never come into my life, he whispered. I need you, I replied. Then you should have chosen me before choosing a lie. The call ended, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I didn't cry. I didn't collapse. I felt hollow. But I also felt free. Free from his words. Free from his manipulation. Free from his double life. He messaged for days after that. Long paragraphs. Declarations. Apologies. Promises he would never keep. Confessions wrapped in guilt. Excuses wrapped in emotion. I didn't respond anymore because I finally understood the truth. I wasn't breaking up with him. I was waking up from him. And waking up from someone you loved blindly is more painful than heartbreak, but far more powerful than staying in a love built on lies. The days after cutting him off felt strangely silent, like a storm had passed but left the air too heavy to breathe. I kept checking my phone out of habit, half expecting his name to appear again, half dreading it. But slowly, the emptiness began to feel familiar. I wasn't healing yet, but at least I was no longer drowning in his lies. What hurt most wasn't losing him. It was realizing I never truly had him. The man I loved was an illusion built on carefully chosen truths and beautifully packaged lies. I wasn't grieving a relationship. I was grieving the version of him he pretended to be. Still, a question kept haunting me. Should I tell Sarah? My cousin didn't deserve this. She didn't deserve a husband who used other women to escape his boredom. She didn't deserve a marriage built on secrets and betrayal. But I also feared the destruction my truth could bring. I imagined her crying, breaking, questioning herself, questioning me. I imagined the chaos, the confrontation, the guilt. But guilt isn't meant for the innocent. Guilt belongs to the one who lied. To the one who betrayed. To the one who broke to women with one truth. For days I avoided the decision. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped painfully, afraid it was him again. Afraid it was Sarah. Afraid it was the truth catching up to me. But deep down, I knew that silence wasn't protection. It was enabling someone who would hurt again and again. One evening, Sarah called me. My throat tightened as her name flashed on my screen. I didn't want to answer, but I couldn't ignore her. I picked up, pretending to sound normal. She was cheerful, talking about random things, her voice warm and trusting. But that trust burned inside me. Then she said something that shattered the last piece of calm I had. You should visit again soon. Daniel will be home next week. I want you to finally meet. The man I had unknowingly loved. Meet the man who had cheated on her with me. Meet the man who knew exactly who I was and still continued the leave. Meet the man who walked into my life with open arms while sleeping beside her every night. My voice cracked before I could stop it. Sarah, I need to tell you something. She immediately sensed something was wrong. What's going on? Are you okay? I wanted to speak, but my chest tightened painfully. The truth felt like a blade in my throat. Sarah, I met someone a few months ago. Okay, she said softly, and I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Sujan, you're scaring me. What are you talking about? I took a shaky breath, tears blurring my vision. I need to say his name. And when I say it, I want you to understand. I had no idea who he really was. Her breathing grew faster. Say it, I whispered. Daniel. Double quote silence. Not the ordinary kind. Not the confused kind, a silence so deep it felt like the world stopped breathing. After a long moment, she said quietly, my Daniel. I closed my eyes. Yes, her voice trembled. How? Why? I cried harder. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. He told me he was single. He used a different last name. I found out when I saw his photo on your phone. There was another silence, this one breaking something essential inside both of us. She didn't scream. She didn't blame me. She didn't even cry at first. She asked only one question. Did he love you? My heart cracked at the innocence of it. I don't know, I whispered. I think he loved the attention, the escape, the thrill, but love. I don't think he knows what that is anymore. She exhaled shakily. How long? 3 months, she broke. I heard it. The sound of someone's entire world collapsing. She sobbed, not loudly, but softly, like a person who just discovered a truth that would never let them be the same again. I thought we were okay, she whispered. I didn't know what to say. There are no words gentle enough to cushion betrayal. No sentence soft enough to make pain easier. She said, don't blame yourself, but I did. Even if it wasn't my fault, I did. We ended the call with more silence than words. And that night, I lay awake thinking about all the women who fall in love with men who carry lies like second skin. Men who pretend vulnerability to open doors they never planned to walk through honestly. Men who rehearse tenderness like a language but fail to speak loyalty. Men who take to hearts and break both with the same lie. Days later, Daniel messaged me again. I heard you told her. I didn't reply. He sent another. You ruined everything. My hands shook with anger. Ruined everything. He ruined a marriage. He ruined my peace. He ruined his vows. He ruined two women who trusted him. I finally replied. No, you ruined yourself. He didn't answer. A week later, Sarah told me he moved out after a fight. She cried for days. She hated him. She still loved him. She wanted him back. She wanted him gone forever. Heartbreak is never clean. It drags you in every direction until you don't know what you feel anymore. I visited her a few times. We didn't talk much about it. We just existed in the same room, two women who shared the same wound from the same man. The betrayal tied us together in a way love never could. And slowly, painfully, she began to reclaim herself and me. I changed too. I learned that love without truth is poison. I learned that lies can sound like affection, if spoken sweetly enough. I learned that emotional intimacy can be more dangerous than physical closeness. I learned that the man who can love two women at the same time loves neither. Months passed. Life moved on, but the scar remained, a reminder of the man who walked into my life disguised as a blessing, a reminder of how quickly love can turn into a lesson, a reminder that sometimes the person you fall for is the last person you should trust. But the most important lesson I learned, the one that stayed with me long after the tears stopped, was this. Some people don't enter your life to love you. They enter to expose the love you should have given yourself all along. And healing didn't start when he left. Healing started the moment I realized he should have never been let in.